The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus told his disciples this parable. The kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones, when taking their lamps, brought no oil with them. But the wise brought flasks of oil with their lamps. Since the bridegroom was long delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight there was a cry, "Behold, the bridegroom! Come out to meet him." Then all those virgins got up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the wise ones replied, "No, for there may not be enough for us and you. Go instead to the merchants and buy some for yourselves." While they went off to buy it, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went into the wedding feast with him. Then the door was locked. Afterwards, the other virgins came and said, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he said in reply, "Amen, I say to you, I do not know you. Therefore, stay awake, for you know neither the day nor the hour." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
We hear Jesus tell the parable of the 10 virgins. And John Pilch, a scholar of the ancient Mediterranean culture, basically says that these 10 virgins are basically 10 teenagers. That's what they are. That's what Jesus is talking about. And these 10 teenagers are the sisters and the cousins of the groom. Now, on the night of the wedding, the groom goes to the bride's house. That's where he went. He went to the bride's house to go fetch her and her parents and bring them back to his house where the ceremony and the celebration is taking place. And so that's what they're waiting for the bride, the groom and the bride to come back. And we hear in the story that the groom is long delayed. Long delayed. Well, there were five wise teenagers and 5 foolish teenagers. The 5 wise teenagers brought the flasks of oil with them. The 5 foolish teenagers, they brought no oil. And so they are late to the party because they don't have enough oil. They don't have brought any oil with them. And so they are they are locked out of the feast. Have we brought any oil? Do we have the oil? The oil of life. There's a story, this movie called Boyhood. It came out a couple years ago. And in the movie, it's a story of a boy. And he grows from 7 to 18 years old during the movie. And the interesting part of the movie is they filmed it using the same boy growing. So it took 11 years to film the movie to show this boy grow. And I'll tell you right now, it's sad and depressing. So let me save you the trouble. This boy grows up in a broken home, and his mother goes through several broken relationships. And she's there for him, and then her dad is there sometimes. And he grows and he loses his innocence, and he begins to search for meaning in life. This is all that he has found. And the end of the movie ends with a conversation where he has a conversation with his dad. And the two are commiserating that this is all there is to life. Life has no meaning. They have no oil. And the reason why I bring this movie up, it's so true. There's so many people who have no oil in their life. What is that oil? That oil is relationship with God. That is the oil of life. That's what allows the engine to keep going, to run smoothly, to not seize up. And that oil, storing up that oil, is about praying, developing that relationship with God, communicating with God daily. That's how we really store up the oil in our life. If we're not taking that time, we're missing out on the oil of life. We won't be able to recognize, we won't be able to be ready for the groom. We will end up missing out on the celebration. We need that oil during the good times, and we need that oil in the bad times. In those days, those Good Fridays that happen. We don't have that oil in our life. We can feel locked out, hopeless. But if we have that oil, we can realize that God is with us and has been with us the whole time. We need that daily oil. We need to store up that oil for rainy days. We need the oil of relationships with each other. We need that when it comes to our close friends, having them in our life. That really keeps the engine well oiled in our life. We need new relationships in our life. We need to be open to experience those new relationships so that we can experience new things in our life. Otherwise, we're going to run out of oil. We need those relationships with the poor in our life. When we spend time with the poor in our life, and I know that in my life, that I'm ever more aware of God's presence. I don't know what it is for me. I just realize or take note that when I experience the poor, I'm going to experience God especially. And I can see through them the face of God in my life. And I can see, because of them, I can see more clearly the face of God in me. In their weaknesses, in my weaknesses. Jesus uses the image of a teenager, and we can be like teenagers. No offense, you teenagers, but we all relate to you. And we can be wise and we can be pretty foolish in our life. And that we learn as a teenager and as we grow that how we need that oil and how we need to store up that oil. And as a teenager, it seems like the groom is long delayed. But the groom is coming. And we see that the groom, what happens is the groom comes at the right time. When we're ready. When we're ready to learn. When we are ready to learn, the Master shows up in our life. Are we storing up the oil of gladness in our life?